You say you love someone. But what does that mean? Is it love? Or is it attachment? Is it freedom? Or is it fear? Osho said, love is the absence of possession. Real love allows the other to be fully themselves. But most of what we call love is not love. It's ownership. It's expectation. It's a beautiful prison built out of sweet words and silent demands. You say, I can't live without you. But is that love? Or is that dependence? You say, you complete me. But were you incomplete before? Osho challenged the entire foundation of modern relationships. He didn't say love is wrong. He said what we call love is usually just fear wearing a mask, fear of being alone, fear of being abandoned, fear of not being enough. So we hold tighter. We try harder. We beg for attention. We demand loyalty. And we call it love. But Osho asked a deeper question. If your love makes the other feel imprisoned, is it still love? Or is it just another form of control? In this video, we're going to look at love through Osho's eyes. Not romantic, not poetic, but raw, uncomfortable, liberating. We'll explore why true love doesn't bind, why it doesn't beg, why it doesn't break when the other walks away. Because love is not something to possess, it's something to witness. And maybe, just maybe, when you stop holding on, love finally begins. Because here's the secret. Love, real love, has no guarantees. It doesn't promise forever. It doesn't beg for promises. It simply gives. Without waiting. It flows. Without clinging. And that is terrifying. Because the ego wants control. It wants certainty. It wants to own the source of its pleasure. But love is not a contract. It's a flame. If you try to trap it, you kill it. If you try to freeze it, you lose it. Osho said, the moment love becomes attachment, it dies. Love can only exist in freedom. But we've been taught the opposite. We think jealousy means care. We think sacrifice means commitment. We think losing ourselves means devotion. But losing yourself is not love. It's self-abandonment. And no relationship built on self-abandonment can ever bring true connection. So maybe it's time to unlearn love, to return to something simpler, cleaner, quieter, love that allows, love that watches, love that lets go. In this video, we'll step beyond the fairy tale and into the fire of real love, not the kind that fills you, but the kind that frees you. Because only in that freedom can love become what it was meant to be, not a cage, but a space to fly. Let's begin with a hard truth. What most people call love is emotional dependency. It starts with attraction, then turns into attachment, and eventually becomes a contract of unspoken expectations. You expect them to reply on time, to understand you without words, to never change, never leave, never hurt you, and when they don't, you suffer. But was it love that hurt you? Or was it your illusion of love? Osho said, the moment you demand love, you have killed it. Real love cannot be demanded, it can only be given. We demand love because we're afraid of being alone, afraid of being left behind, afraid of our own emptiness. So we cling. We turn love into ownership, affection into addiction, commitment into control. And in that process, we strangle the very thing we claim to cherish. Love is not about finding someone to complete you. It's about being so whole, so rooted in presence, that you don't need anyone to be anything. You love, not because you lack, but because you overflow. But most people love from lack. They say, I need you to make me happy. But happiness born from another will always be fragile. Because people change, feelings change, life moves. And when your inner peace depends on outer behavior, you will always live in fear. Fear of betrayal, fear of loss, fear of being not enough. That's not love. That's ego disguised as emotion. Osho said, love is not a relationship. It is a state of being. It has nothing to do with the other. When love becomes a state, it's no longer personal. It's like sunlight. It shines on whoever is near, without asking for anything in return. This is why Osho was misunderstood. People thought he was against love, but he was against attachment masquerading as love. Because true love doesn't bind. It doesn't promise. It doesn't possess. It doesn't perform. It simply radiates. And if the other walks away, the love doesn't vanish. Because it wasn't theirs to begin with. It was yours. From your own depth. And the depth remains. This is love as freedom. But this kind of love requires courage. Because when you don't own someone, you can't control their choices. And when you don't control, you open yourself to uncertainty. Most people don't want love. They want security. And so they trade truth for comfort, freedom for predictability. But love, real love, grows in wild spaces. It needs air. It needs light. It needs the risk of falling to learn how to rise. Osho said, only the love that gives freedom is love. Anything else is just a mutual slavery. Look at your relationships. Are they spaces where you both expand, or cages where you shrink to fit? Do you inspire each other's truth, or do you tiptoe around each other's fears? When love becomes an agreement, a list of rules, a system of control, it stops being love. It becomes a transaction. And the soul doesn't thrive in transactions. It thrives in presence, in honesty, in silence between two people who are whole on their own, yet choose, again and again, to walk together, not out of fear, but from freedom. That's why Osho didn't teach people how to find the perfect partner. He taught them how to be alone first. He said, unless you are capable of being alone, your love is not going to be real. It will be a need, not a sharing. Most people fall in love because they cannot be with themselves. And so they use the other as escape. But when the escape turns into a mirror, and the mirror shows your own emptiness, you call it heartbreak. But the heartbreak was always there. The other just revealed it. Real love doesn't hide your emptiness. It holds it without trying to fix it. And in that holding, something miraculous happens. You don't feel empty anymore. Not because someone filled you, but because someone didn't run from your emptiness. They stayed, they witnessed, and suddenly, you feel whole. That is love. Not the fixing, not the changing, but the silent witnessing. And it starts with you. Can you sit with your own heart without escaping? Can you let yourself feel without rushing to solve? Because if you can love yourself like that, you will never need to chain another again. Osho said, if two lovers can be just two individuals, deeply rooted in their freedom, then love blossoms to its highest peaks. This is the paradox. The more you try to keep someone, the more they slip away. But when you stop trying to hold and start learning how to be, the right ones stay. Not because you trap them, but because they feel free with you. And freedom is the deepest love there is. So let go, not of them, but of your need to own. And watch how love begins to breathe again. Not yours, not theirs, just love. rising and falling like the breath. No chains, no fear, just space to love and let be. So what is real love? Not the one you chase, not the one you control, but the one that exists, even in your aloneness. Osho said, "If you love a flower, don't pick it, because if you pick it, it dies." Love is about appreciation, not possession. And yet, we keep picking, we keep gripping, we keep confusing ownership with intimacy. But intimacy has nothing to do with possession. Intimacy means, I see you fully, and I let you be. Real love is not about being needed. It's about being known. It's not about security. It's about sincerity. It's not about always staying together. It's about always being true, even if that means walking away. When you love from freedom, you give without fear. You receive without clinging. You release without resentment. That kind of love doesn't hurt, because it doesn't expect. It surprises. It unfolds. It breathes. It teaches you that the more space you give, the more love grows. And the moment you try to capture it, it slips through your fingers, like wind, like light, like truth. But it never really leaves, because real love isn't something you give to someone. It's something that arises in you, like a fragrance. When the heart is open, when the ego is silent. Osho said, "Love is the fragrance of silence." Not silence as in absence of sound, but the silence that comes when there's nothing to prove, nothing to hold, nothing to fear. Most people think love is found in connection, but it is born in clarity. Clarity of who you are. Clarity of what you're not. Only then can you love without needing, without fixing, and without losing yourself in the other. So love becomes not a merging, but a meeting. Two flames dancing beside each other, not melting into one, but burning brighter in each other's light. And sometimes, that love stays. Sometimes, it leaves. And both are okay. Because love was never about duration. It was about depth. Not how long you held hands, but how deeply you saw each other. Even for a moment. That is eternal. And when it ends, you don't collapse. You bow. You thank. Because even the end was a part of love. And love never truly ends. It only changes form. Sometimes it becomes distance. Sometimes it becomes silence. Sometimes it becomes a quiet memory that still warms your breath. And that's enough. Osho didn't want you to possess love. He wanted you to become it, to become the space in which love can move, freely, naturally, without fear. So don't ask, how do I keep them? Ask instead, how do I keep my heart open, even if they leave? Because that is the only real question. And the answer is not in the other. It's in your own capacity to remain soft, even when life gets sharp, to remain open, even when something closes, to remain love, even when there's no one left to love, because real love was never about them. It was always a reflection of how deeply you've come home to yourself.